coming up on this Caribbean Vibe Houston interview with Case?
So this is my first time voicing. So when I'm in there, I'm just having fun, and I'm like, cause like I lost that bet. It wasn't supposed to be serious.
Right.
Then I came out, and I remember laughing coming out of the booth until I realized that when I got into the main hall, where into the control center in
Right.
front of it, where my friends were, nobody else was laughing. They were actually very seriously nodding to like, yo, this is a thing. So I'm like, no, it's a joke. And I was like, no, wait, hold, but you have a sound. And I was like, no, man, it's a joke. And it's like, no, man, you have a sound. Boom, we don't take it serious. I don't voice again. We was in Jamaica shooting the Bob Marley movie, and I was just like, yo, you want to hear something cool? And my confidence is always through the roof, and I don't fear nothing. So I'm like, yo, G, I don't know your name, but like, you look familiar. Like, you want to hear something cool? What? The brother's like, what? My headphones, yo, give me headphones. I just plugged it into my, I think I plugged out his headphone out of his phone, and I plugged it into my, I was like, yo, play this. And he was like, yo, what? What is like, yo, this guy is off his rockers. Like, he just introduced with the bands, but like, yeah, what's next?
Like, I hear your voice, I hear your songs.
Yeah.
It's just like, how does he sound like that? You know, so like when you went to the booth, talk about that experience and what you're thinking.
It's a question that I get often. But that also in turn justifies the sound in my mind, because then people can know that it's as authentic as possible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because in another circumstance, you would not be able to sound like this and talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
For me, so that kind of substantiates the validity of the sound, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A reggae musician sound, so it's like, you know, even those of us who are purporting love our offsprings are not even safe.
Right.
Is something very crucial we kind of have to look into. But
Yeah.
I still believe that there's still an opportunity for each of us to still push the power of love.
Yeah.
Like, I think the good book says love is a gift. So until we kind of treat it as such and spread the gift, then we not little pickle, you know.
Wait, let me let Uncle L come in first before, because I always take over the interview, bro.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm just, yeah, it's busy morning, but you know, it's all good.
I'm the one. I'm still on a mental high though, bro. I just got married last Friday. It was like a dream.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Congrats.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen you in person, so congrats to you, Neil, again.
Yeah, bro, man. Thanks. You know, how should I put it? So I was in a space where I thought I was going to be single forever. I was like, man, I got girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm good. I ain't got to worry about that. And I met the woman, and all of a sudden, all the other girls didn't matter. You know what I mean? And I ain't never think that was going to happen in my whole life. Honestly, I had gave up on relationships and all. I'm like, the world is messed up. Nobody's real. Blah, 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 blah. But now, I'm in there. In like Flynn.
Yeah, it's a power of love, you know?
Yeah, man. Real love.
Yeah. You have to allow space for love, you know?
For real, man.
It's that thing.
Yeah.
And you need to share that story too. You know what I mean? Share it to the ones. Share it to your platform as well, because, you know what I mean? That means you're now a champion of love, and we need more of that.
For real, bro. For real.
True that. Mean,
yeah.
You know,
so don't take it lightly. Just use that as like a thing for just share it to the people, because you never know.
I'm gonna take your advice, right?
Yeah,
and I'm gonna take that seriously, because I didn't even think about saying something like that on air. It's just how I really feel, but that's what people need to hear, man.
No, man, they need it. They need, especially in this time when it feels like there's an attack on love.
Mm-hmm.
Or it feels like love and truth and rights are under attack every day.
True that.
Like, you know, when one candle is lit and we realize, oh shit, you know what I mean? Love is there. I feel like you just need for, you know, like some other ones too. You know?
No, man. Matter of fact, this first little clip, I'll just save this little clip and play that. You know what I mean? Because what you said and what I said, it all match up on thing, right? And I tell you, normally we don't start the interviews like this, but since we on that path, I'll mention this, right? John Mason's son. So I just saw the little thing on the interview, and then I see this guy on TikTok. This is like the fourth or fifth one. I think it started off with what's the little light-skinned cat name? It was the first one that they tried to literally murder. And think about the thought process of that. I want to kill you while you live.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Naya Gang was the first one
Mm-hmm.
that I heard about, right? This latest one, you know, the mental thought process and how evil that seems, right? And it could be a whole lot of reasons for that because sometimes people be in their own head, man. But what you said, love is needed for somebody to come and shoot a guy while he's live online in front of the world, and he wanted to do that on live to prove a certain point. It's just crazy to me. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like music is so important, and what you said is so important. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, bro.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Crucial time.
yeah, crucial time, man. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was just crazy. I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you see these little videos, and you know, you just watch the video, but that just threw me like, yo, man, like what is going to take to
But
change this world?
what we're seeing now, is just really a product of the antigens that exist.
Right.
So, you know, as sad as it is, these are still the products of what the reflection of what's happening now.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how horrible these stories are, murders and whatever, you know what I mean, this is really, and I feel like until we get to figuring out what the antigens are and then attacking it from the source, then we'll continue to have byproducts of these things
Yeah.
that are reported. And I think a lot of the times the platforms themselves get the flack for the actions of the products of just societal woes.
Right.
You're like, until we kind of get to a space where we have, I don't necessarily think it's like a mass awaken that needs to happen. I just think until it gets to a very personal space for everyone to understand that this is something that we need to fix on an individual basis first.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like if everyone just fixes this on an individual basis and then allows those lessons from fixing that to just spread throughout the ecosystem,
Yeah.
then see a positive change and a positive shift. You know what I mean? It's until we take a micro to macro approach, then
Right.
Mm-hmm.
continue to see unfortunate situations like this happen. So it's very unfortunate that happened, and as an entertainer as well, it hits home because that is an entertainer's son.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A reggae musician's son. So it's like, even those of us who are purporting love our offsprings are not even safe.
Right.
Is something very crucial we kind of have to look into. But
Yeah.
I still believe that there's still an opportunity for each of us to still push the power of love.
Yeah.
Like I think the good book says love is a gift. So until we kind of treat it as such and spread the gift, then we not look a pickle,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I like how you put that micro to macro. Because that's
And
what
I
it
think
is.
it's interesting. I think it's interesting too. Like my wife always talks about seeds that you sow in, and just like you're saying, when you spread give, you're spreading the gift. It's like a seed, and some seeds don't always make it to the final product, the final plant in the end, or the fruit, but you have to throw the seed and you have to put it out there. So yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that micro to macro and
micro to macro.
Yeah.
Not to start interview or anything, but it's a thought, it's a concurrent thoughts that I'm having. I just want to share with you items. Just, when I was young, I used to always think about. So I used to watch cartoons a lot. So I don't know if you know with Avatar.
Yeah.
I used to think about how, in a weird way, how Aang would ride around on the air scooter.
Right.
A weird way, we're all kind of functioning within our own air scooters, just revolving and bouncing each other and just kind of trying to figure this out. And I think until we kind of look at the objectivity, which is what I try to do,
right,
across the board, to just figure out how everyone's kind of figuring out their own path and trying to revolve around this thing. And, colliding might happen because it's just, we're all just trying to figure it out. But until we kind of stop to understand that is actually what's happening, then we won't actually get that no one has it figured out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then because of that, because we're humans, so because we're prone to flaw, will never actually have the answer unless it's a divine answer. And even then, when the answer comes from the divine, it's not ours.
Right.
It's still divine.
Yes.
It's a divine answer. You know what I mean? So I feel like, especially for my generation, until we kind of just take a step back and just really look at this thing and say, all right, well, if you know, if we're all like revolving and trying to figure it out, no one has the answer, then maybe it's an opportunity to really sit and think and then allow the process of peace to start.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not try to think that the answer lies within instant gratification and the constant revolving around and trying to figure out things in a very fast-paced manner. I think the attack on peace and love and due process is something that we really need to look into, because I don't think anything in human nature is without due process. So until we go back to there or reinstitute those thinking, you know, yeah. But we're there. Sorry.
Yeah, man. No, bro. That's all that's really important, and I thank you for saying that, showing that side of you, actually. You know what I mean? Because when people see the interview now, hopefully somebody say, "Boy, you know what, man? How do you say your name? Is it Kase?
Case.
Case. I'm just doing too much right now.
Oh man, Case. Yeah.
Right. So when I heard Case say that, you know, what I mean, it made me, you know, think, like really sit down and think, because I think you're right. People don't think, they really act. You know what I mean? Poverty makes you act. You want to lash out. I realize in today's society, even over here in the U.S., bro, it seems like young folks are really emotional. They get disrespected. They feel disrespected real easy, and they want to act out on that. And even that case, it seemed like it was a form of, I mean, I don't know what happened, but it was like, respect me. How dare you say that about me? You know what I mean?
Right.
So what you said is very important. Okay, so what we like to do, right? Because the interview is kind of based around a new project with yourself and Green Lion Crew, but we like to go back. I looked at the year you was born. I think it was 1996. I was like, damn, man, I graduated high school in 87. You know, but take us back, because you was a producer first before you became an artist, right? So take us back, like, why'd you start doing music? Like, kind of give us a history of your musical career in a sense.
Yeah. So, like you said, my name is Case. Reggae recording artist and composer and producer from Jamaica.
Trelawney, right?
From Trelawney.
I can actually say I've been to Trelawney. I can say that. I've been there.
So you know, as I said to Star Virgin earlier in the week, that I feel like every time I say this story, it should feel cliche, but it's not.
Right.
So I did not grow up around music.
This is the first time in all the interviews we've done that we've heard that.
I did not grow up around heavily based, like I was so let me tell you, what I want at 4 years old, I went to my mother and I said, I know what I want to do in my life.
Right.
And that's what it was. And I said, I wanted to go work with NASA. Hand to Bible, that's literally what I said.
Wow.
I said, I wanted to be an astronaut and a rocket scientist. So books was always my thing. Like, I was an avid reader. So I was blessed to have a library at home.
Right.
Like a big study hall and a big library at home, because my mom's an educator and she was just heavy on books too. I mean, you know, it's a lady who graduated high school at, I think, 14 or 13. She's gifted.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So I got her brain. I was just always reading avidly from very young. And then, but I know that spirituality was heavy in the home. So my grandmother was a pastor. My great-grandmother, was a pastor, and formed her own church and everything. And close to where we live, so I live on the coastal side of Trelawney, which is closer to the beach.
Okay.
So I practically grew up on the beach. So at the beach closest to me, and there was like some Rastas would link up in the evenings and light a bonfire and chant the psalms and really go into some really deep reasonings.
Right.
And always from very, very young, be very intrigued with the faith and the movement of Rastafari and just, you know, how just the entire spirituality of that. And especially because how they would reason was always based on doctrines, which I could relate to because I was a reader.
Right.
So fast forward a little bit to my teens, goals kind of shifted a little bit, even though I would have studied the sciences in high school. My mom, who also has a law degree, I figured it would make sense for me to study law. So I did the necessary prerequisite exams and relocated to the city in Kingston to pursue law. So that's actually what I was doing up until COVID, where during my college years, when I was studying law, I realized, I don't know if it was because of the association or the being around the Rastafaris on the beach who were drumming and music is a part of the retentive culture there.
Mm-hmm.
I was drawn to music, but I didn't have it as a conscious thought that because of this experience, I was in love with music.
Right.
I heard music differently from when I was young, but again, it was when I got old I realized, I see things that I remember I used to experience when I was younger, and I always used to think that I would just experience things differently because I used to read a lot, not necessarily because it might have been a gift or whatever. So, a friend of mine introduced me to a Grammy-winning producer, Andrew Blacks in Kingston.
Oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we know that guy.
Studio when I was in college studying law, and this was the first time I saw somebody composing. Blew my mind. So and granted, I want to paint the picture for you. This is 2019. I didn't know what a DAW was at this time. I didn't know what music was, or like the tenets of music or keys. I didn't know any of that yet. So when I heard Andrew producing, I was like, this is crazy. And then I thought, I wanted to do this as like a hobby. Let me try this. So my brethren, De Niro, who also works with Andrew Blacks, they're part of the UIM fraternity there.
Right.
Gave me Ableton on my computer.
Right.
Said to me, listen, if you need to know anything about music, just go to the University of YouTube and...
Super Neil favorite university.
My favorite university, bro.
And then he gave me this playlist. The name evades me now, but the playlist essentially teaches you keys, and music scales. So I ran through that and started reading, and 2019 leading in. So this is 2019. So I started composing, and I'm spending more time doing compositions than I am doing law at this point. And then I link up with another virgin at UA who introduces me to a DJ by the name of Maestrodon. Maestrodon then at the time is signed to Gyptian.
Mm-hmm. Wow, because that was going to be one of my questions, but go ahead.
So I so my only two indoctrinations into music at this point would have been Andrew Blacks, De Niro, and now Gyptian. But when I get to the studio, I'm unaware that Gyptian and Maestro are a part of the same camp. I'm unaware that Maestro is signed to Gyptian. I get to the studio before Maestro, actually, because I thought in dancehall world or Jamaican music time that when you say 5 is 5, I didn't know 5 meant 9. So you said 5, I was there 4:55 at the gate.
Right.
And
that's how you have to be, though. That's how you have to be, to be professional.
Yeah, man. To my surprise, when I get there, it's just Gyptian. Now, just like how, which is akin to a lot of my experiences, how you and I might have jumped on this call and we just started reasoning about something else.
Right.
Gyptian and I started to reason about the education system in Jamaica.
Wow.
Okay.
That leads to a song. Literally after the reasoning, I don't know if he felt the energy that I was pushing, or I don't know if he just saw that I was just hungry for success. I don't know what it was, or he just saw like a bright mind. But he said to me after the end of the conversation, "So you don't have no rhythm?" And I was like, "Yeah," but at the time, I was still very much insecure with my productions because I was still fairly new.
Right.
Notwithstanding, even though I was spending a lot of time producing and composing on my laptop, I'm still thinking. Remember, my only two points of what a good rhythm was Andrew Blacks and De Niro, who winners. So clearly, after a few months, I'm thinking, if it's not that, then it's garbage.
Right.
But true to form, Gyptian heard the rhythm, and after one Heineken voiced a song.
Only one.
Like, you're good. So, fast forward there, I get a contact for VP. We put it out, we clear the song, I get it distributed through VPAL Records. And then I think, okay, well, if this is a thing that I should do, then we're still in 2019. Let me try and organize a juggling.
Right.
Because at the time, I realized whatever Andrew and Dinero was doing,
right,
in me, that's the path.
Right.
So they were jugglings. I was like, all right, I can do this. Let's figure it out. So I went through I don't want to say struggles, but the good learning curves of understanding the industry by virtue of putting together a project, a juggling, which would have been the first precept of understanding what the entire process would have been. So project is called Havana Riddim, has Bugle, Lutan, Fyah, another Grammy winner, Medicine on it.
Yeah, man, Medicine is a wicked artist.
Yeah, man, a whole lot of great artists on the project. We put it out. Then afterwards, I'm in the studio with a Virgin, still 2019. And he and I were building a rhythm together. And I lost a bet. I said to him that there's a particular instrument that I want us to use. He said that we should use another instrument instead. I said, let's make a bet. If my instrument works better, you voice on the rhythm. If yours works better, I voice on the rhythm.
So his work better.
His work better, unfortunately. But he had more experience in the game too.
Yeah.
But we are in the studio, like, we're just very competitive, like, whatever makes the thing work quicker. He's ended up being better, and I just went into the booth as a joke and just started to, I guess, chant and just started to voice.
What song was that?
It's a song called Ganja Farmer. The world would never hear it.
It's okay, because you got green card. We'll take green card. That's fine.
I get green card. So this is my first time voicing. So when I'm in there, I'm just having fun, and I'm like, because like I lost that bet. It wasn't supposed to be serious.
Right.
Then I came out, and I remember laughing coming out of the booth until I realized that when I got into the main hall, into the control center in front of it, where my friends were, nobody else was laughing. They were actually very seriously nodding to like, yo, this is a thing. So I'm like, no, it's a joke. And I was like, no, wait, hold, but you have a sound. And I was like, no, man, it's a joke. And it's like, no, man, you have a sound. Boom, we don't take it serious. I don't voice again. COVID hits. I stopped doing law. I applied to school. Actually, December, I start applying to schools overseas to do music production and sound design. February, I get my acceptance letters. February, March, I get my acceptance letters for fall.
Wow.
Scholarship for Columbia, Chicago. That's where Kanye went to study design.
Right.
University of Southern California, Drexel, Full Sail.
Wow.
And I'm thinking this is the greatest thing in life, because I'm like, yo, I'm about to just go. And remember, I'm from academia, so studying would have had to be like a part of the proposal to my parents to be like, yo.
Right. Right. That's going to be the next one of my questions. How'd your mom feel about you switching from law to music? But anyway, go ahead.
That would have been that was the only way to sell it. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? March, we get the acceptance letters. April, COVID hits Jamaica and shuts down the entire world after that.
Right.
So, say we didn't end up going, even though I got scholarships for like all these places and everything. But what COVID did was help me to really hone in on the sound and the craft and the skill set and put all the knowledge that I would have read into writing. So it really helped let me just lock in on the sound a little bit more. And then, I mean, I guess the rest is pretty much what you're hearing now, and we just kind of from there.
Bro, that's a good story. When I asked you that question, I had so many follow-up questions, but it's like you answered all of them.
Yeah.
In that one question, you know what I mean? Because now I understand how you got to work with Gyptian.
Yes, sir.
Also, Lutan, Fyah, Bugle, and Alkaline. Was those guys on the rhythm you talked about?
Yeah. So Bugle, Lutan, all of them were on the juggling that I had arranged. It's called Havana Riddim.
Havana. So, hey, can you guys send us that rhythm?
Yeah, man, of course.
Yeah. You want to bust that? I want to hear that. I want to hear that Ganja Farmer tune, though. I don't know how we can work that.
The world never cares. Yo, listen, if Grey Show hears this is my virgin.
Yeah.
Grey Show is the only person who can leak it, all right? And if he leaks it, I'll be upset, but because he's the only one who can.
Yeah.
The world will never. If it's up to me, the world never. It was the first time I was ever recording. I just thought it was like terrible. This guy was like, they were like, "Nah, man, this is crazy." So
No,
was
man,
like,
I understand what they mean when they say you have a sound.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
is truly your sound. You
Yes,
know what
sir.
I mean? It didn't seem like you went in there, and maybe it's because of the situation and how you went in the studio. You didn't go in there trying to sound like anyone else. You know what I mean? It's I can't think of
Well,
no one
I
you
would
sound
ask.
like.
But yeah, I would ask, like, when you did go into the booth. I mean, I'd love to hear it, because as Neil is saying, your voice
Right.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, Be Real from Cypress Hill,
Yeah.
people who have a
Right.
speaking voice, their natural voice, their speaking voice is different from their like singing and performing voice. Like, how did that come? Because it's crazy. Like, I hear your voice, I hear your songs, and it's just like, how does he sound like that? So like when you went to the booth, talk about that experience and what you're thinking.
It's a question that I get often, but that also in turn justifies the sound in my mind, because then people can know that it's as authentic as possible.
Right.
Because in another circumstance, you would not be able to sound like this and talk like that.
Right.
For me, so that kind of substantiates the validity of the sound, I guess. But in terms of the process going into the booth, it's no different than now. I just know that it's a very spiritual process for me to just record. And then I had also approached music production like that as well. So going in, just seeing how Andrew works is very much inspiring. And then, but what I would have done is put myself in the exact mode anytime I'm going to the music as the 4-year-old me when I was reading. Because what I was able to do, so I got into cartoons later than most children, but my cartoons would have been the books that I read, because the only way to visualize would have been through reading.
Right.
I was reading about constellations at 4 and just everything you could think of, and just engineering and just the sciences and absorbing that information. I used to picture constellations. I used to picture the stars. I used to picture all of that. And then reading is so fundamental, and I know everyone says it, but like for me, I feel like until you experience the power of reading, especially when you are reading in whatever your perfect mood is, then you really understand the effect of it.
Right.
And that feeling is what I carry in the booth. So I don't record until me and the most I talk,
Yeah.
I until I know that it is divinely inspired. I refuse to write something if I feel like I have to make it up. And especially because I started music later, I don't have the stories to like make up, because I feel like if you start music earlier, then it makes writing something fictional easier, because you would have been music so long, where it's just like, but my experiences are so like personal, where I don't have a choice but to put it in the booth. And then if I try to make up something, the sound won't coincide with the information on track. Certain inflections in my voice and emphasis on certain syllables or certain words is because of how I'm feeling and what I would have experienced. So if you hear me emphasize me in a particular sentence, it's because I need you to understand that this is something that really happened, And I remember when me planted by the aqueduct, wrap it up. It's not like I was like, I really remember these things, you know what I mean? Like, so point being, I think that energy just flows with me in the booth, and I just try to keep it as clean and as pure as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. When you decided to I think you hooked up with Creative in 2023 and released your first single, right?
Yeah.
Perfect Storm.
Well,
Why?
I would have signed to them 23 and then released it in January 24.
24. Right? Did you have a bunch of different songs you were thinking of? Like, tell me how Perfect Storm came together. First of all, let me just play a little piece of it before you do that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. probably sitting down and listening, planning out your month and think your sweat is still not add up to your pay. But never lose faith in the Father, cause in him I orchestrate the world, him still did that for take the seventh day. Just know that success is not a goal, but a journey, and he journey down a yard full of bottles. So they say it might take you more than a day, or a month, or a year, but have a map and know it's guided when you pray. I love sunrise, yeah. So always,
You know, so a lot of times when I listen to music, right, to get the real feel of it, I have to close my eyes. Because when I close my eyes, my mind goes someplace else, and I'm listening to instrumentation, I'm listening to the sound, I'm listening to the production, you know what I mean? But most of all, I'm listening to see how that artist make me feel.
Right.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So, and when I hear in your music, I'm like, I remember thinking this, man, this dude is really good. Like, why is he not bigger yet? Of course, there's a whole lot of answers for that, right? But you can literally hear that whatever you singing, you mean it. If that makes sense, you can literally hear it and feel it. So anyway, why this single? Did you have a bunch? Who produced this, by the way?
This is produced by my brethren from Barcelona, Spain. He's called Sinky. He's Sinky Beats. He's
Sinky. Yeah, man. Matter of fact, I'm working on getting a track from Sinky right now.
Yeah, man. Sinky is my brother, my friend. Like, literally, I feel like he's my big brother. And he and I would have linked up so organically and just combined the sounds because his influences and my influences are very much similar.
Yeah, Sinky is wicked. I know he do a lot of work with Perfect. I always mess his name up.
Just a dope album with Perfect. I encourage anybody to just check him out. He is
no Sinky is the dude is wick. I'm talking about the way he puts music together. You know. Anyway, the single.
So Perfect Storm. So the question was if I had a bunch of singles before and how it came about. So I did have a lot of singles. So when I decided or was instructed by the divine that this is what I wanted to do, I think my work ethic is unmatched, and I know people like to say that, but I live in the studio, and as a result, I just write a lot and record a lot, and I like how I was before as a child, dwell in my own head instead of being outside much, because I feel like the world in my head is really cool.
Right.
So I put that on a record instead of like being outside too much. You won't see me in a party too much or any of that.
Yeah.
So when I lock in, I really lock in. So the single, I knew that as much as I wanted to. So if I'm going to be very honest with you, and I'm going to, be honest.
Yeah.
In order for me to do this song, I made a conscious decision to know that to know that the sound was already something that people would be interested in.
Right.
So I had the awareness of the sound. So most people, when coming out of the gate, the record tends to be about the artist.
Right.
Okay, it's a new song. It's the first song, and the artist wants to tell the world about them.
Right.
It's cool. I wanted my first song to be what I could offer to the world.
Nice.
The world accepted it.
Right.
Because I already accepted it.
Right.
So for me, that's why the verses are, I know you're probably sitting down and listening and planning out your month and think your sweat's still isn't adding up to your pay. You know, it's very much talking to the individual listener all the time through that record. And I wanted it to be the first thing because I know what my influences are, and I know because I'm so tapped in on a spiritual level, and like we were just reasoning earlier, I feel like that may be lacking in some parts of the system now. I wanted to be the agent that strikes the balance between that and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In going in to write the single, that was the aim. That was what I wanted to do. But I also didn't want, a lot of times, I think as creatives, we write from a standpoint that's too personal.
Right.
and to alienate the listener. So if I'm a rapper, the average listener isn't in Club Live every week.
Right.
If I'm a dancehall artist, the average listener isn't shopping or whatever it is.
Right.
If I'm a reggae artist or if I'm a Rasta artist, the average listener may not be at Bubba Hill or 12 Tribe every day.
Right.
But so, and then I'm from a middle class home, and we know that the middle class is really what drives any economy.
True.
So because of that, I wanted to let the listener understand that there's a new voice in the ecosystem that understands. And my solution is not hustle harder, which it is, but it's not solely based on that. It's, Jah Love will really carry you through. So, you know what I mean? So don't lose faith, stick to it, but you still have to give yourself grace, and you still have to understand that, again, you have to trust the process. So just like how you said, you wonder how the artist may not be bigger. And it's something that I get, but at the same time, a part of my mission, I feel like, is to help people understand that the process is more important than the product.
True.
So because of that, I make it a concerted effort to always emphasize how important the process is, and not to rush it.
Yeah.
So you hear my sound and you think, but him reach. I hear my sound and I think, I went to 5 high schools in 4 years. I did law first before I did music. I was the guy, the coach at the back of the screen looking at Andrew at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering, why would he put that kick there?
Right.
What? And then before even voicing, then figuring out, we can voice? Okay, wait, let's figure this out. Then applying to college, then a world pandemic, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So so I get it. What people hear is the end result of a process.
Yeah.
But as an artist, my mission as well is also to, if I could give the process to the people, I would, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. But that's so important though, bro. The process is so important because everybody wants everything right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Instant gratification is probably one of the worst things that has happened.
Yeah. I promise you it is, bro. It's messing the world up in the thought processes of people because everything, and I think folks look on, I'll just use Instagram, and they look at someone's life, like just what you said, right? They see the end result and they don't understand. Right. They just want the end result. You know what I mean? Right now. No process. Just give me the end result.
The end result, yeah, man, can't do that. So for me, I just want people to hear it and appreciate it and know that if you played 50 years from now, Jah Love will still surround. If you played it 50 years before, Jah Love would have surrounded then. If you listened it 20 years from now, you would probably still be listening and planning out your month and thinking you're not getting your just due. But all of that stands to reason that the process is still very much important.
Nice. Uncle L is about to come back and he'll take us into the new single. But this song is playing in the background. And I realized, like, even if you're doing what we call reggae, you know, as opposed to kind of like a dance or Afrobeat vibe, you still sunk in. So listen to this real quick, right? I'll just play a little piece of it. This one is called Weekend, people.
She road on a mission, new prescription is to catch a vibe. Touch a party, see an empress, and give her a wine. Time to get wild one, but on the speaker, love a first wine, pretty girl, nice to meet ya. Pull on the pace, not try boss no meter. Plus you bring a friend, now tell me how me feel leave ya. Cause girl, I love your energy. Say you don't want it done, so please follow me. Just move your hips to the sounds of my island. And if you wanna get high, me have the remedy.
Yo, that's a monster party jam, bro. You know, there's one line in there. I said, this man must have been to Trini or North Trini or something. He said, find a shorty and bust a wine.
Yeah.
You know? So when you record music like that, is it a different process or it's pretty much the same process?
So I want to tell you, said that song in question are just more up tempo things.
Yeah.
I try to go into what the rhythm is saying. So it's my production skill sets that influence my artist skill sets.
Right. You produced this?
Pardon?
Who produced this?
So funny story about this record. This was actually on a previous rhythm that I had built from scratch. And then
wow.
Me and Sinky had linked up. I was like, yo, Sinky, like I like to challenge him, and he challenges me as well. So I was like, yo, let's deconstruct what we had before or what I built, and let's build something new around this. And we went back and forth. And if you see the session, it's stacked. It's stupid. So it's like
I would like to see that. See how many stacks on there. Yeah.
Yeah. This rhythm session has like 40 or 50 steps. It's
oh
like,
wow.
Yeah, man. So it's like, so we just went in, and I was like, but when I was initially writing it, I was writing from the feeling of how can I give party vibes without feeling lewd or feeling you can't play it out loud. How can it be like still fun and
bro,
sexy for the girls, and like without feeling like I have to degrade anybody or like
clean fun.
Yeah, and, for me, like I said, me and the spirit have a very personal relationship, and I feel like at night when it's just me and the spirit, I don't want to hear something in my head. It's not like a voice say, yo, you shouldn't have done like shit. yo, youth. That's what you want to do? All right.
I'll holler at you later. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So for me, the fear of the Most High is very much real. So I just want whatever I can do for still make people have fun and still feel like I'm pleasing the Creator is something I'm kind of trying to strike the balance.
Yeah, man. Big up for that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I guess build it on, how you came into the scene. I saw you, got a chance to do stuff with Shawnee B and Rodigan on BBC and kind of get some notoriety in the UK. And talk about that experience and like how the reception, from, the European folks and that kind of thing. How was that to you?
But I feel like the people in Europe really have taken on to the sound. I feel like they really love the sound. I think one of the most rewarding experiences for me might not even have been the Shawnee B experience, which I'm very grateful for as well. But it would have been having the songs play on BBC One Extra by David Rodigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That premiered Olive for me. And the reason it gave me that feeling is because I used to joke about it with my brethren. Like I was like, yo, David soon play this, but we just say it in passing. But
right.
I guess that's also kind of how manifestation works.
Right.
So, big up to man like Barnes as well for even trusting me and also taking a bet on me too, cause it's risky. It's new sound. It's even if you might like it, you still have to understand that it's so new. Where it's like, will people like it? Like,
right.
That it's good, but as a product, will it work?
Right.
So big up to the team. Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, having Raven Rodigan play it.
Yeah.
Would be a big deal for somebody like you, because I could definitely tell you have a cerebral vibe to you, and that is Rodigan.
Yeah,
Rodigan will sit down and be like, well, back in 1955,
exactly.
this song was played and it was rocking the dancehall, and this is the new version of, Rodigan would break down a song, the origin, what it mean, and then introduce it and play it and then talk back about it. And I could see, as an artist, that I could see that would be something that would be interesting to you and you'd be appreciative of. And
then how he also, I still have the clipping of it. Rodigan goes and says, "Isn't this beautiful? This is real production." And I'm like, he gets it.
That gotta be a good feeling.
Yeah. So we give thanks to Rodigan all the time and just the entire Europe Massive for supporting the team,
Definitely. So let's talk about the new music.
Yes,
because, and I think this weekend I was playing What's the Word, and I recorded it and put it on thing Instagram, and you reposted it. I appreciate that. But I was blending, because I was blending Protoje Big 45.
Yeah.
And then I kind of looped, the beginning of What's the Word.
Yeah.
Looped in that, and then brought in What's the Word, and I was just like, man. I was like, man, this song is just fire.
Yeah, man.
It is just like complete. It is like the definition of fire, because, and I think, when you're into music, you kind of feel a vibe.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And so I'd love for you to kind of tell the people, like, what was the vibe that you were feeling on the song? Kind of, like, how did you come up with it, and talk them through that experience.
So for me, I don't want to sound crazy, and I hope you don't think it's like an ego thing, but I know exactly how my career is going to go, and I can feel it, and I see the path, and I know exactly what people want from an artist. And that's my production skill sets tapping into my artist skill sets, because as a producer and as DJs too, and as people who work on the other side of music, which is not on the artist side, we kind of see the map and the trajectory a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And I always take that knowledge and influence the artistic. Because artists, we can get in there and it's like, no, we want it this way. And I'm like, no, this has to be structured. So I knew that I treat every year like a season in my head. So I know season 1 was Perfect Storm and Rootsy and Green Card and, little After Vibes and, and Olive, and I knew, but I also knew if I were the listener, what would I want from this artist?
Right.
And then how do I balance that with people's attention span now? So he has a sound cool, but talent is a dime a dozen. So how can he still keep us and then grow that as a fan base? So I was thinking, if I were listening to me, I was like, all right, this cat has like him cool, him have like a cool sound, and him can sing, I guess, and him can chant, I guess. But I want to hear him do something different. I want to hear him can he do it fast? Can he do that same bravado faster? Can he do it in a more up-tempo way? Can he create a moment out of it?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. So I started recording a lot of those songs from the year of when Perfect Storm was out. So I think, what's the word on those? Because like I said, I live in the studio. And I linked up with Green Lion Crew. I told Barnes, it's like, Barnes, let's just trust me. And he was like, you shot me, just trust me. It's the And again, bless up the Barnes cards. You know what I mean? It's a risk all the time.
Right.
I feel like Barnes managing me is just high blood pressure and stress, Because all I do is just like, I have an idea, trust me, this is it. All right, cool. No, there's no conversation really. I'm just like, this is what we're doing. I can't give you a reason why it go work. Just trust me. But it worked. And man, because like I see the map a little different, and I knew I was like, Greenland could be the perfect thing, because I also study production.
Right.
That. I was like, if I got their rhythms, I know how to do this. So I went in and I was like, and I wanted people. And then my favorite non-Jamaican musician is Nas. Like, I'm a big hip-hop head, and Nas is my favorite rapper.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
So,
he's wicked.
And then I've always been back and forth from New York, so part of the New York culture is like embedded in me. So the chorus being "What's the word" is something very Brooklyn about it. There's something very like...
Yo, for real. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it right now. But that's some
very,
New York, Brooklyn type stuff.
Almost like it's very like back in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like, I didn't want to go white pre or any of the Jamaican slangs. I wanted, because also Green Lion Crew is based in the US. So I was like, I know when they go on DJ in some sets, what would kind of catch the crowd. And I was like, even though people like Jamaican culture, I feel like my sound is already so synonymous with the culture. There's no mistaking it.
Right.
Clearly from Jamaica. So if I could include all of my other influences as well, it's crazy. So I was just like, what's the word? And then I was like, usually when you go, what's the word, or you tell people what's up, it's like, let's shoot, or let's gang, or like,
Yeah.
No, like, how can I put the same moral of what I feel like those principles are and make it better. So I was like, well, as far as I'm concerned, we just want to make the paper and spread love and raise the youth them right and, and show that spirituality can be cool. You don't have to be like lame and
yeah.
very much pray every day and still want to secure the bag and still have like the hottest girl and drive the craziest cars and live an amazing life because the most I don't want to poor. You know what I mean?
True.
The most I want to flourish and spread the word and roll on some G5 with some jet and I just spread the word crazy. You know? So I wanted to give that energy, through the record. So I feel like the moment was created and I feel like, we accomplished the goal and we're still pushing and still accomplishing it, step by step.
Definitely. It's a moment. It definitely is a moment.
All right. Speaking of moment, Uncle, let's play a little bit of What's the Word before we let him go. I got to play this. Hold on. Yeah. Just a little piece right there.
Tell me which one your father. Still not no safety if you know now we data. Politician them still a move like one other. Gone at the hills cause me can't take the drama. But still aim at the game if you make a couple dollars. Flip a couple breakfast and my youth them pan a charter. No you can be late from a teacher to a farmer. Say when time tough, we a go say a samza. Can he say, here's my taste it hard. And me ask if she ever see a spinach fully yard. But them youth a head cheap like AI at them father. Not even the pulse here from the corner. Oh Lord, mind sharp your buck, your foot, you get a tooth. The realities are what we face every day, but you still see me smile all when times hard. Tell me what's the word? Well, as far as me concerned, I forget the paper. Look out for haters. What's the word? Well, as far as me concerned, give me future.
Yeah, man. Even the way how you say "what's the word," what you said, it just tie into that. Like you give it a little Brooklynish feel. Like, yo, what's the word? Go ahead,
what's the word, B? Yeah, like it's a very Queens Brooklyn thing.
Yeah.
It's a very, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, so it's a very intentional thing. But,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next?
Your greatness, you know. So, we have some dope things coming out. Not to mention, I mean, my brother, labor mate, big brother Hector, who is also, just side note, was the reason who introduced me to bands, because really Hector who heard a demo of Perfect Storm on my phone. I just, he was in Jamaica shooting the Bob Marley movie, and I was just like, yo, you want to hear something cool? And my confidence is always through the roof, and I don't fear nothing. So I'm like, yo, G, I don't know your name, but like, you look familiar. Like, you want to hear something cool? What? The brother's like, what? My headphones, give me headphones. I just plugged into I think I plugged out his headphone out of his phone and I plugged into I was like, yo, play this. And he was like, yo, what? But it's like, yo, this guy is off his rockers. Like, he just introduced me to bands. But like, what's next? Hector's album for sure, and I'm mentioning that because you can check it out on track 4. Really dope song there by Roots. Respect for Roots for tapping me with that. He had the entire song idea. So credit where credit is due. He did the writing and everything. And he was like, yo, bro, I just feel like this part would be cool in your voice. And I was like, yo, Celeste, just ran in and did it.
Right.
After that, I'm dropping something really cool with a group called Loud City in the States. Summer Vibes. That'll come out very soon. So we're hoping to create another moment to that, another newness.
Loud City was on Strictly Love too, right?
Yes, sir. Strictly Love. Yeah, Loud City and ZJ Sparks had produced Strictly Love. I think he did the composition, the direct composition. Okay. Yeah, they produced it. So yeah, me and Loud City dropping something very cool. Yeah, I like that.
Nice.
I like it's gonna be nice. Yeah.
That little part you said about being extremely confident remind me of an artist we interview, a female artist, Kaylin Arnold. Same thing. She's like, yo.
I rate her. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Really
talented, yeah, she's next. She's next.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of us out here. We just want to spread the word and just give people really good music. It's. I feel like it's a time. Right now is the right time to remind people that it is still very much possible to make great music.
Yeah. And a lot of the artists we've been interviewing, because we tend to stick to the artists that a lot of people don't know about yet, but it's like Uncle L said, we feel like they're next.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We're actually interviewing Hector. When is it? Tomorrow, Uncle L?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to Hector tomorrow. And I'll bring up what you just said right there. I say, yo, you remember when Case plug your headphones out?
No, you have to remind him in the studio yard. And I was like, yo, you want to hear something? And he was wearing headphones and he was like, yo, I believe he was in the studio just to do a quick session and dip. And I was like, nah, this man can't leave without hearing this.
Yeah.
And it was a demo. And this man was like, blew his mind. He's like, yeah. In fact, Hector was like, yo, we don't need to hear this. Oh no. And just called people in the studio. And I was like, wait, hold on. I didn't mean for that. Like, I want the youth. Because there was a demo of the thing. And he was like, yo. Yeah. So, bless up to Roots all the time. That's my brother, you know.
No, man. One thing you said that's important, and I'll have to find that space and probably put that out there too, is the reading part, man. You know what I mean? I realized at a later age, because when I growing up, you know what I mean, I didn't like to read, bro. And even when I got older and started getting into books, I started listening to audiobooks. But once you start, it's something like when you actually read the book, it does something different to the brain. You know what I mean? Audiobooks is cool, but I wish we can find a way to get young folks to read more and just like imagine the possibilities that, you know, life can bring by just reading, you know?
Well, my mother is a genius, so I don't know how the general public is going to fare. But my mother, I can say it proudly, is a genius. Yeah. So she just allowed the space. I don't think she ever once gave me a book. I'm going to be very honest with you.
Right.
I think she allowed the space for me to do and be interested in anything I wanted to be. She just knew how to guide the process. So I wasn't into TV until after books.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But she didn't say read science or read math or read. She was just like, yo, anything you want. It could have been dogs, because we had a book about dogs that I was just reading.
Yeah.
But it could have been anything. And then that just spawned thought.
Right.
So that's the thing. The idea is just to kind of get, I guess, your frontal lobe engaged. Just to the extent where you're just like, yo, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And then she helped me to develop my metacognitive processes earlier. So thinking about the way I thought was something very crucial, which is what allowed me to hone my energy quicker.
Right.
You know, I think metacognition is one of the most important processes of just brain development. So that's big up to her, you know.
Yeah, man, big up mommy.
Indeed,
For
yeah.
Real. Hey, my bro, we say this to a lot of artists, right? Because we find when we do interviews with people, it's more like just a conversation than of like just a series of questions. And we may ask some of the stuff other people ask, but we try to do it a little bit different and just get into the meat of the artist. Because when you put that out there, then the goal is it can help somebody like, yo, I need to think about the process more.
Yeah.
You know, stop thinking about instant gratification. So we appreciate the conversation, bro, and your time too, because we've been on actually about 57 minutes. It seemed like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If people want to get in touch with you, where do they go?
Yeah, so it's Case Music on all platforms, and it's KA$E on all DSPs, all digital streaming platforms. Nice. So just tap in. I mean, the music is cool, if I do say so myself. And if you want to just have a moment to yourself to appreciate music, then tap in. If you want to hear something that you've never heard before in your life,
true,
that you can't compare it, and I'm not saying that because it's me, I'm saying because it shocked me as well.
Right.
You know, tap in. Yeah, vibes.
Yeah, man. Hey, we appreciate you, my brother. Nothing but love, and we'll keep the relationship strong. Hey, don't forget to send that Riddim though, please.
Yeah.
We want that Riddim. We want that Riddim. Look, and I know you said you was gonna contact dude and have him send us the ganja farmer too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Make no promises.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate you, my brother. One love, man.
Blessings.
Listen.
Respect.
Yeah.